Your problems are a blessing. All the pain, all the trauma is a gift. I realized this as I was just kind of like going throughout my day today that your problems, our problems, they are nudges of energy. And sometimes they lead us more quickly than other times into a place that we know we couldn't otherwise get to. And I especially know that your trauma is a gift. If you think about what pain is and what you can turn it into, it truly is something that is given to us, something that we inherit, a true blessing. I study one of these universal laws called the principle of polarity, and it essentially speaks on the idea that two things are the same, they're just at different degrees of each other. So, for example, if you even just take a look at something that hurt you, pain, suffering, it hurts you because it probably makes you a little sad, causes frustration, or else it wouldn't, affect you. Like I always like to use the example, like if a little kid goes up to you and calls you a duty head, I'm sure we've all been called duty heads in our time. If a kid calls you a duty head, you don't really feel it. You don't even really like acknowledge it. It kind of just like slides right off of you. Doesn't make any sense. But if someone you care about says something that really hurts you and you feel that pain, you feel that frustration, you feel that anger, it's because there's something there that hurt you. And there's love somewhere along in the sentence. Whether you love them and they said something mean, or you love the thing that they were speaking about. So love and pain come in hand in hand. And so our pain is a gift. Our pain is a blessing for the sense of it gives us perspective on what hurts us. And it also is a breadcrumb that can kind of lead us to this conversation of self control, self sufficiency, self mastery, in the sense of anytime something triggers us, especially when something triggers me, I always ask myself, like, how did I get myself into the situation? I try to take extreme ownership over the situation. And it helps me make choices that give me more and more control over my reality. What it also does is it points and sheds light on maybe something that I haven't focused on, something that I have been neglecting, a blind spot. And it shows me that I have an area for growth. What I've also come to realize, especially, is that like trauma, something that stays with us, is a blessing in two ways. One, it's a gift that we can use to help us reach our goals, but it's also something that we can use to be of service, something that we can use to help others, to connect more closely with others. I know that in my experience, connecting with other individuals and trying to figure out and really find my purpose, whenever someone has similar trauma to me, we connect on a much deeper level. And the conversations, the laughter, the shared pain, the level of understanding is so much deeper and so much more fulfilling. And on the other side of things, like when I, for example, use my comedy, I really do believe that my comedy came from a gift of trauma. When I was younger, I felt like, like many of us, we wanted attention. I wanted attention. So I developed this skill set of comedy because if I could make someone laugh, they really enjoy that feeling inside themselves and they would give me more attention. Also, for the same reason of whenever I was able to bring the energy up of the room, I would be in a state that would give me more comfort. And so that was a gift and a blessing that came out of my trauma. And now I'm able to be this funny individual on sales calls. I'm able to be this funny individual when I'm networking, and it makes me helps me reach my goals a lot sooner. Now, is it easy? No, it never is easy. But that's why I like to make these videos, to shed light on reality. And I've come to realize time and time and again that the more that I come to a conclusion and the more I attach my reality to my own perspective, my own limited perspective, the more I set myself up for suffering, which again, that pain leaves breadcrumbs to a reality where I can have more control. And I realize, okay, well, I need to stop attaching my own limited perspective and holding it so closely to what I think reality is. And the more that I can do that, the happier I am, the more I allow myself to change the perspective, the more gratitude I can deploy in one given time, and the more joy that I feel. So, two things that I want to point out. You know, a lot of people say that they want to be happy. What makes you happy? All those different things. Happiness is like an excitement. Happiness is very similar to like motivation. And we all know that discipline is what helps you reach the action, if you guys haven't noticed by now, like I'm very tired when I record these videos, but I'm so passionate about my channel. I'm so passionate about my goals that I push through it. And I push through these voices of, don't do it, you're tired, take a break, etc. And I deploy discipline because I'm able to use my energy, use my focus, change my perspective, and deploy joy. So happiness is very similar to motivation in the sense of its excitement. And many things, many solid foundations aren't built off of good feelings. They're built off of strength. And so when I think about joy, joy is the almost like celebration and gratitude over all feelings. So I can be sad and still be joyous. I can be feeling grief and still be joyous. And it's a much better feeling in my perspective than happiness. So I seek joy, not happiness. And in the other sense, I can deploy gratitude and optimism whenever I am going through anything challenging, whenever I face an obstacle in my reality, whenever, I, and it can be so super simple when like I could be, shopping for something and someone skips the line, I could feel immediately very triggered by that. And then I deploy that gratitude, I deploy that perspective, and I'm able to zoom out from my ego and make decisions with a lot more abundance and higher conscious energy mixed into the reality. And I really do truly believe that in that moment, when I do things like that, I'm able to shift timelines. I avoid things that are not best suited for my, development, and I'm able to take steps and make portals towards the reality that I want to step into. And so this is where, again, we can really take a look at pain and see it for what it is. Pain can be very simply broken down into ego discomfort. And just because it's discomfort doesn't mean it's bad for you. One of my favorite quotes from a friend is like, just because everything is going bad doesn't mean everything's going wrong. Sometimes when you're doing everything right is when things go wrong. And so pain, we can associate and tie it to this limited perspective and we can think that things are going wrong and that everything is failing, but pain can actually be a friend. And I think that when we shift our perspective and we talk to it as a friend and we embrace it and bring it into our corner and say, hey, what are you highlighting for me? That's something that to anxiety, I have shifted my relationship with anxiety. Anxiety for me is this overachiever that is trying to protect me. And so whenever I feel anxiety, or especially procrastination, because my procrastination and anxiety come close together, I essentially talk to it and speak to it and say, hey, what's going on? What are you trying to warn me about? Very similar to like, a dog. When a dog is barking a lot, you're like, hey, what's going on? And the dog is just trying to warn you of something. It's about understanding how it's serving you. And again, removing your limited perspective on what's going on, thinking from a higher consciousness and going, how is this serving me? Because if you think of that frequency and you come from that frequency, it becomes your reality. And again, not easy, but when you do it, things really do turn around much quicker. And you start to almost have like this lucid living concept. And I know that there's a book on lucid living. I haven't read it yet, but it's a concept that I actively practice. I don't know if the book is specifically speaking on what I do, but when I'm living, I can feel and have more control over my reality, just like how I have control over my dreams. And so pain, anxiety, we change our relationship with these things, we speak to them, and they can really become partners and really speed up our evolution. So today, this week, as you're feeling pain, try to shift your immediate response to it and try to speak to it and try to ask yourself, well, hey, how is this serving me? How is this revealing us a blessing? Let me remove my perspective. Let me think outside of myself and think, how could this be helping me in a way? There are many times, the most frustrating thing for me is like when I'm late for a bus, when I'm late for a plane and I miss it. Like I can, preach about this all day long, but like I get super triggered. I get super upset when I'm late for something, especially for something I'm super, I care a lot about, late for a meeting or something like that. I get super frustrated, but I immediately ask myself, like, how is this saving me? I think very specifically, like being late for a bus or something like that. Like sometimes when we get a delayed in a timeline, we don't know the timelines that we're avoiding because of that lateness. And we got to just trust the universe. And when you deploy that trust, you deploy that love, you deploy that faith. I really do believe that it comes, not only does it come back to you, but you are growing the right feeling, even in a situation that you think is negative. You can grow the right ingredients and pour energy into what can truly serve you, which is like, all is mind, right? Like everything could be completely wrong around us on an ego level and we could be super upset, but we can be making all the right choices up here and it's a much different reality. So I invite you to play with these thoughts today, tomorrow, this week. I think it really is an important one. And it really is just about shifting your mindset and taking control over your reality. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to share your thoughts, share a comment, please leave it in the comment section, as it does also help the channel. If you want to share with a friend, please do. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.